It's time for Media Meltdowns. Well, the biggest story in the world right now is the escalating conflict between Israel and Iran, which is being covered extensively by news outlets as we wait for President Donald Trump's move. But if you've been watching The View, well, you'd be treated to a different perspective altogether, because according to Whoopi Goldberg, Iranians living under an oppressive regime don't really have it that bad. Despite all the human rights abuses, Iranians might actually have it better than Black Americans.
And it's slow.
But let's just remember, too, the Iranians literally throw gay people off of buildings. They don't adhere to basic human rights.
Listen, here's the thing. Let's not do that, because if we start with that, we have been known in this country to tie gay folks to the car.
Where the Iranian regime is today in 2025 is nothing compared to the United States.
Hanging black people. So
it is not even the same. I couldn't step foot during this.
Wait. That's not what you mean to say. It is the same.
No, it's not. The year 2025 in the United States is nothing like if I step foot wearing this outfit in Toronto.
I'm sorry.
I can't have my hair showing. I can't wear a skirt. I can't have my arms out.
I'm telling you,
I literally said it was up to the Iranian people.
Yes, it is up to them. And that's why I am saying that it is the same.
Are you sure about that, Whoopi? Do you want to clarify?
You weren't saying what I heard was not what you meant.
I think it's very different to live in the United States in 2025 than it is to live in Iran.
Not if you're black.
Not for everybody.
Not if you're black.
Guys, don't go to Tehran.
Okay, and no matter how hard the other hosts tried to reason with Whoopi Goldberg, reminding her of how women are treated in Iran, nothing would stop her from continuing one of the most unhinged and idiotic rants of all time.
Because we're all women, and they are not doing well there either. They are not doing well in Iran. They are not educated. They cannot have property. They cannot leave them.
I'm talking about here.
Nobody wants to diminish the very real problems we have in this country. That is no one's intent. But I think it's important we remember there are places much darker than this country and people who deserve rights.
Not everybody feels that way. Not everybody feels that way.
Not sure if there's anyone who seems to hate America as much as Whoopi Goldberg. Joining us now is comedian and host of Blaze TV's Prime Time with Alex Stein. Alex, it is great to see you. My goodness, Whoopi Goldberg on The View. You know, we're used to some pretty anti-America content coming from her, but apparently life in America is just as bad as it is in Iran.
Well, it just shows you how hypocritical it is, because when her co-host asked her about, the LGBTQ community in Iran and how terrible they would be treated, of course, now Whoopi has to act like she's a victim. So it's just common practice that Whoopi Goldberg and all of the women on The View have to be the biggest victim, because that's how they basically trade. That's their currency, who can be the bigger victim and who can have more people feel sorry for them. So seeing Whoopi Goldberg do this and compare her plight to what's going on in Iran, I'm not shocked whatsoever. And the women at The View, they give us some of the best content accidentally. So I really appreciate her always going and giving us great sound bites like that.
Yeah, always seeing the silver lining there, Alex. But she's rightfully getting backlash from her idiotic comments as we speak, really. But it hasn't been a good week for the hosts on The View. Earlier in the week, they brought on Hollywood star Arnold Schwarzenegger, where the hosts asked him if he had a visceral reaction to watching the ICE raids. And his answer was absolutely brilliant.
But the key thing also is at the same time that we got to do things legal. That is the important thing, So you got to do things legal. And those people that are doing illegal things in America and that are foreigners, they are not smart. Because when you come to America, you're a guest. And you have to behave like a guest. Like when I go to someone's house and I'm a guest, then I will do everything I can to keep things clean and to make my bed and to do everything that is the right thing to do, rather than committing a crime or being abusive or something like that. So that doesn't really work in this country. So I think the important thing is, when you become an immigrant, to think about, okay, I go to America because I want to use America for the great opportunities that America has in education, in jobs, creating a family, all of those kind of things. Then you have to think about, okay, if I get all of those things from America, then I have to give something back.
It's so funny watching the hosts try and interrupt him because that is not the answer that they were hoping to get. It's brilliant. He was speaking about how grateful he is for the opportunities that he's been given in America, someone who is a legal immigrant and had a successful acting career, was the governor of California, and he, of course, credited America for his success, was promoting legal immigration while calling out that violent criminals needed to be kicked out. But of course, that is not the kind of response that the hosts on The View were hoping for. So of course, Whoopi Goldberg and Sunny Hostin took it upon themselves to give him a lecture.
Don't forget, there's 90% of the people who come here are trying to do the right thing.
They're less likely to commit crimes.
And a lot of what's happening right now is people are getting snatched who shouldn't be snatched out of the country, people who have visas, people who have all those things. So we want all the right people. We don't want people who are doing bad stuff.
But they are less likely, immigrants are much less likely to commit crimes in this country than actually American-born citizens.
I love it. They invite him on their program just so they could tell him what they really think. But what did you make of the whole segment?
Well, just seeing Arnold's face is just, he's just shocked. He's like, what are these women saying? I can't co-sign any of this. And what's crazy is all Arnold really did is he was just saying that he has American pride. He's proud to be an American. It stands for something. But sadly, none of the hosts on The View are proud to be an American. So when they hear him kind of give this, a positive viewpoint on what it takes to become a citizen and why it's important to do it the right way, to them it's just like needles just scratching because they don't want to hear that because they're not proud to be an American like Arnold Schwarzenegger, who realizes that he loves his country. And so it's just different. He loves his country, they don't.
Alex Barr left Congresswoman Ilhan Omar believes that America is becoming one of the worst countries in the world. Let's take a listen to what she had to say.
I mean, I grew up in a dictatorship. And I don't even remember ever witnessing anything like that. To have a democracy, a beacon of hope for the world to now be turned into one of the worst countries where the military are in our streets without any regard for people's constitutional rights, while our president is spending millions of dollars propping himself up like a failed dictator with a military parade. It is really shocking, and it should be a wake-up call for all Americans.
So one of her big concerns is that there was a military parade marking the 250th anniversary of the US Army, and that coincided with the president's birthday. And she claims that, holding this parade, honouring veterans, makes Trump a failed dictator. I thought Whoopi Goldberg was bad, but at least, she's being direct and honest about how much she frankly hates America, straight up saying it's one of the worst countries in the world.
Well, first of all, Ilhan Omar is from Somalia, and there's evidence that she married her brother. And she's talking about parades. I'd like to see a pride parade in Somalia. That does not happen. So her fifth world, not even third world, not even fourth world, fifth world country where you can't even be an open homosexual. You could be punished by death, theoretically, where she's from. So she wants to talk about how her country is better than America. Give me a break. America is a billion times better, a country to live in, work in, and just do business in, anything in America. And no offense to Somalia. I'm sure there's some great Somali people, but we're comparing apples and oranges when you compare the United States of America and a fifth world country like Somalia that literally doesn't even have gay rights. So give me a break. Ilhan Omar, she should be ashamed of herself. And she was empathetic to the terrorists on 9/11. So she's just honest. She hates this country. And that's a sad reality, is that we actually have politicians that are sitting currently in power that hate the country in which they're serving.
Clearly.
It's just so redundant or counterproductive.
And they're being open about it. They're literally telling us how much they hate the country.
It's sad, but it's a real thing. And they're not even hiding it. Some people aren't.
Well, let's talk about California Governor Gavin Newsom. Of course, he failed California earlier in the year during the fires. He failed once again during the LA riots, but that is not stopping him from attempting to become the leader of the Democrats as he eyes off the presidency in a few years' time. He's now launched a Substack. Take a listen to this.
there's so much mis and disinformation out there. There's so much noise. I don't need to tell you that. So the question is, how do we break through all of that noise and engage in real conversations? And that's why I'm launching on Substack. I hope you'll follow me so we can continue to engage in a two-way conversation at this critical moment in our history.
I don't know if that's the best ad for his Substack. It kind of freaks me out, but it comes after launching his podcast. So how's it going to go for him?
Well, I liked his podcast that he actually had some people with different viewpoints. I thought the podcast with Charlie Kirk was good, and where he talked about how women, shouldn't have to deal with playing against biological males in sports. And he said that there was an unfair advantage. But when I see a guy like the governor of California making a Substack, dude, you're not Tucker Carlson. Like, go be a governor. I don't know why he wants to always be on TV. He literally wants to have your job. He would rather be hosting for Sky News, I feel like, honestly, than be the governor. Because if you look at just the homelessness problems, the state's on fire, people are moving out as fast as possible, and that they're basically just being held up by these huge tech companies. If California, the northern part of California, didn't have these massive tech companies, California as a state would theoretically be on life support. So Gavin Newsom is the only guy that can continue to fail upward. And now with this Substack, I hope it gets hacked. I mean, nobody wants to read it. Go be a governor. You don't need to be a journalist. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, well said. Now, Italy's Prime Minister, Giorgia Meloni, has gone viral for dramatically rolling her eyes while listening to Emmanuel Macron at the G7.
Nothing official yet. They haven't turned on the microphones, and sometimes you can pick something up in the side conversations. But
I love it. But Alex, we don't know what Macron was saying. Do you have a theory?
No, but she's probably talking about how Macron got beat up by his wife. I mean, dude, that is a soap opera. If there is a soap opera, is Emmanuel Macron and what's going on in Paris and France. Like, literally, we see it on the world stage. If people want to say that Joe Biden looked bad, I would say Emmanuel Macron looks a billion times worse than Joe Biden's ever looked. At least Dr. Joe Biden was never on tape pushing him, down a flight of stairs or anything like that. So, the people of France, I can see if they're embarrassed, and the people of Italy, they're laughing, and the people of America are too.
Absolutely. Alex Stein, so good to talk to you. Thank you so much for joining us on Power Hour.
Always a pleasure. Talk to you again soon.